Hi,
Are we
everyone.
live? I think we are.
Yes, we are. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Yes. All right. Welcome, everyone. We are so glad to see you here for this pop-up lunchtime live. My name is Kadesh Conroy, and I am the co-founder of the Wellspring Group, which is a human resources business partnership that focuses on helping organizations put trust back into their organizations and putting the resources back into the human and the humanity back into the heart of business. And I am joined here with my dear friend and also CEO and founder of MYAVANA, Candace Mitchell. And Candace is going to tell us a little bit about MYAVANA and all of the revolutionary things that MYAVANA is doing in the hair care industry.
Amen. Yes, I'm so happy to be here and to have this conversation with you. It is right on time. At MYAVANA, we are transforming the hair industry through science and technology. MYAVANA is the first hair AI tool that can instantly analyze your hair strands and tell you what products are best for you to use. And I've been working on MYAVANA for over 16 years. Since I was a junior in college, I started the research. Was able to start the company in 2012, and we've been in business for 13 years. So, yes, and it's taken a lot to get here, which is why I'm happy to have this conversation.
Well, we are so glad that you're here to have this conversation. And one thing that is so important to Wellspring and how we partner with companies is having organizations that recognize how important it is to develop their culture and how important it is to have a culture that is centered on the human being.
Yes.
And I love everything that you talk about with MYAVANA relative to using AI to transform the nature of the industry, the beauty industry, the supply chain industry, which I know is something that your team is embarking upon. But really considering that talent is more than just money. Right.
Yes.
And the cost of labor is more than just the dollar. And we're here to really talk about not just how you're doing this morning, this afternoon, but really what is happening right now.
Yeah.
And this kind of prevalent culture of fear. And as we were talking last night and we were brainstorming about like what is pressing, what is on the hearts of people right now in organizations. And organizations is anywhere that you do business. So it doesn't matter. It could be government, it could be nonprofit, it could be for-profit. It is anywhere that you show up to do business, and that is your organization. And what we've realized, unfortunately, we've been talking a lot about economy, is that fear has become its own economy. And when fear shows up in organizations, it can look like and feel like polarization. It can look like and it can feel like disengagement. It can look like and feel like turnover or layoffs. And it can show up in so many different ways. It shows up in your leaders, it shows up in your managers, it shows up in your talent. And then before you know it, it shows up in your bottom line and your economies of scale. The real cost, though, of fear is that your human capital now becomes human collateral. And so this conversation is really just us thinking through what is really prevalent in these cultures and how can we move away from a culture of fear where we're replacing burnout, right, with better company policies and better benefits, and where we're replacing this drive to efficiency that then sometimes leads to separation and polarization, to bringing back the resource back to the people.
Right.
And so you are just amazing at gathering people together and bringing together ecosystems.
Yes.
Can we talk a little bit about Tulsa?
God.
Let's talk about what is even, okay, because we had to be fearless, okay?
Seriously, Fearless.
Fearless.
No, yeah, we had to take just 2 minutes because everyone needs to know what happened in Tulsa.
Yes.
Because as you talk about economies, right, what we're really battling up against is this capitalistic system that our businesses have been implanted in just by the inherent culture design of the United States, right? And so what we learned in Tulsa, that was only my second time there, first of all.
My first.
Your first time.
Like Tulsa.
Like, we're going to Tulsa? I'm like, yes, we are.
Going to Tulsa.
So when I went the first time to meet some of our new investors and ecosystem partners, because we're opening a new R&D lab there.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason, one of the most pivotal meetings was a meeting on Greenwood.
Yes.
And we got to learn the true history of Black Wall Street. And it blew my mind because I realized that we only know 1% of the story,
Yes.
what we're taught in history, in the history books, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I realized was that, again, the spirit of fear, evil, destruction, intentionally hindered and destroyed a community of people, Black culture, and it stagnated our economy,
yes.
the Black business economy, right? In the early 1920s. And so what happens is it creates a generational ripple effect where we are stripped economically. We are challenged to pursue business and entrepreneurship without the right resources because of the generational wealth that we never inherited. And so what I realized was there has been wealth held up that needs to stimulate the economy right now. And particularly for Black entrepreneurs, but again, it creates a ripple effect. Tulsa is a racially diverse community. You have Blacks, Caucasians, and Native Americans, right? Yes. So it represents the true fabric of the United States and the true design of the economy that God, in particularly, wants us to activate. That is the answer to everything we're seeing right now in this capitalistic culture, right? So we look at Wall Street, what's happening on Wall Street, right? The stock market. And then we look at, okay, what does particularly the small business economy look like that's not driven by the 1%, right? And so on top of that, it showed me so much about my identity as an entrepreneur, as a Black woman, as a Black person. And all of this is important. I'm just putting it in context because the human matters.
The human matters.
Right? Their identity matters. You're not just talking to your customer service rep. You're talking to a soul who has a purpose, right? You're not just talking to a VP. You're talking to a leader that has a tremendous amount of responsibility on their plate. And so when we have these conversations and when we have to make decisions based on capitalistic expectations, you miss the whole human that reaps the ramifications of those decisions that you may not even know about. You don't know what they're dealing with at home. You don't know their unspoken needs. And sometimes we're in cultures where we don't feel empowered to speak up and share personally.
Yes.
Right. And so, so when I left, I'm having all these awakenings because for those of y'all who know me, I am a purpose-driven entrepreneur. Yes. I am not here just for the money. The money is an outcome, right? What I'm really after is transformation. Transformation of the hair industry, transformation of our customers and their personal hair journeys, and transformation of our society in which we live in. And so I feel like Tulsa is the perfect opportunity to activate that. And so that's how we launched there. And I invited our hair and beauty network, our beauty industry leaders, our ecosystem partners, including you and Wellspring, that's going to help us lead on the human side the right way.
Yes.
Because what it represented was a turning point. So for these 13 years, I've had to run a long, fast race. Because when you're taught, the way we're taught as tech startups is to go fast, build fast, fail fast, and go, get it out. So I've been going for 13 years. Actually, last year, when we had the Beauty Tech Summit, I don't know if you all are familiar with the movie 12 Years a Slave. I was like 12 years an entrepreneur.
12 years an entrepreneur, yeah.
That's a movie right there. So, but Tulsa represented a turning point because it just unearthed, so much that now, as I sit down with you, Kadesh, I'm like, okay, we need to have a turning point rooted in this, rooted in the right things.
Yeah.
And rooted also in justice, and rooted in what humanity needs right now. Because obviously we have been driven by other things.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that framework. And thank you for, it's really hard to put into words what happened at the Beauty Tech Summit and all of the turning points that happened in Tulsa, because it really did speak to the heart of identity. It spoke to the heart of legacy. It spoke to the heart of history, economics, and it also spoke a lot to what you described as, stripping away the human, but really bringing back the human and the humanity back into our workplaces, back into our ecosystems, back into our spheres of influence, and doing that in a way that is not perpetuated by a culture of fear.
Right.
And with our work at Wellspring, as most of you know, and if you don't know, we really, as entrepreneurs, we founded Wellspring for this very purpose, is that, the title human resources, you have human resources first, but what we really want to do at this point in our juncture of business is putting the resource back into the human being, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of talk about AI disruption and AI replacing jobs and, but there is something about human capital and the talent and the people that you have at the heart of the organization that is the solution, right?
Absolutely.
So whenever we're talking like, well, what is the solution? How do we turn our organizations around? How do we change our culture? It's really to take a deep dive and a look into this. And when we started to talk about the things that were prevalent to us, both of us as leaders and entrepreneurs, and thinking about the ecosystem and founding all of the things that we are trying to really launch, it became very clear that there was this theme of fear happening. And we talk about different types of economies, right? There's a capitalistic structure, there's various structures, but never did I think we could put into words the fear economy or an emotional economy, right? And how those emotions impact how people show up for the places that they've chosen to invest their lives in. When you go to work, you invest so much time in the development of another company. It might be your company with your team, your teammates. And if fear is the primary driver of our economy, we know that it's costing billions of dollars. One thing that is very clear about polarization, because fear creates polarization, it creates a deeper sense of separation. And the key to drive any organization is to ensure community and ensure an equal amount of investment, an equal amount of value. And fear is and polarization and fear, it's a threat. But even when we were thinking about this last night, one thing that I realized was that polarization is actually not just a threat, but it's really an X-ray.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's really good.
It's an X-ray, because polarization, what it does is it forces you, right? Because we're looking at each other right now, and we're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Candace, my Ivana shirt, it looks good,"
Right.
But if you were to take an X-ray into the physical nature, the bones, the structure, the makeup of the body, what it forces us to do is it forces us to look at our culture closely.
Seriously. And I just want to speak to that and hopefully not cry. Because so I had a personal awakening recently where I realized that inside I was broken.
Wow.
And not only broken, I was shattered.
Mm.
And God told me it was like shattered in a million pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been operating like that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so what ended up happening is I saw it being reflected in our business too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of broken systems, right? Things that are just not fully thought out and executed because, again, now I know that it was the spirit of fear.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to get it out, get it done. You're trying to get customers. You're trying to make money. You're trying to go, go, go. And we were growing, but the infrastructure was not keeping up in place. It was fractured. Yeah.
Oof.
So we were losing customers sometimes as we were gaining, but there were a lot of blind spots that you don't realize that you're kind of still bleeding in a few areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your metrics may be good, but when you push it to its maximum, right? Which is the process of scaling, right? Now you're trying to push those systems to the maximum because you're trying to get from 1,000 customers to 10,000. That's when you see it. You don't see it immediately. You're like, everything is great. Everything is great. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And to a degree, we're also trusting other people too. To see what's happening and to be able to fix and mitigate, because I don't see everything every time, right? But I realized, just again, like in the process of growing a team, right? Sometimes you don't realize that, we've been executing at a foundational level, but now we need to execute at this level. So we were trying to push up to this level without that, very instrumental change that's needed, right? So, but I'm still just going and going and going and going. But then again, you don't realize until you have that sight, right? Like that's why the X-ray is the perfect analogy. And to me, my breakthrough was through my executive coach, Andrew Yearwood, who has a heart-centered approach, because I couldn't see it until I looked at my heart. And if you think about it, the heartbeat of the organization, that's the culture, right?
That's the culture.
And now that I'm thinking about it, it's like coming back to me. When I designed the technical diagram for MYAVANA, I put MYAVANA in the center. And I said, we are the heartbeat of the hair industry, because we keep the pulse on the consumer. We know what the consumer needs at all times. So I'm working with all of our B2B partners, but at the end of the day, it's to serve the end consumer. And then one day, God told me the consumer that needs to be served is me. Because I created MYAVANA for me to solve my own problems. But I represent, the millions and billions of people with hair like this.
Exactly.
So that's like very profound. And I think that it requires that level of examination into our organizations right now, because the market is just revealing the internal nature of our companies right now. We do have some external threats. I'm not going to discount that. There's some true, real external threats happening right now. Those are the things that catch us off guard, right? But the nature of business and sustainable business, if you do have a true, complete business plan, you do have guardrails. and things for that. And I think right now, what we need to put in place are the guardrails for our culture, our humans who are taking this journey with us, right? Because I think about that all the time. But when you have to meet the expectations of the market, your investors, stakeholders, shareholders, I mean, it's a lot. So you push, and sometimes you don't realize, oh, this is actually having a more negative effect.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, and the transparency in which you as a founder leader approach your work. And this is why we're even having this conversation, is that in the evolution, you're 16 years in and you've done the x-ray on MYAVANA. That's what you did. You said, as a founder, you reached a turning point and you said, I have to take a step back and I need to look a little bit deeper into the areas where maybe bones are thinning, maybe things have been fractured, maybe individual and talent has been fractured, or there's some things that are keeping the internal structure of MYAVANA going that may need some changing, readjusting, realignment, and some pivoting. And I love that as a leader, you're brave enough to face that. Because in this time of polarization, what we can find as well is that leaders are also afraid, right? Leaders, we're just like everyone else, right? We have fears, we have vulnerabilities, we have proclivities, we're imperfect. And I was asking myself the question over the weekend as I was, too, reflecting and examining my own style of leadership, like, oh, what has made me most afraid? Like, why do I feel like there's something that is more fearful now than any other time before it? And, there are things that emerged, but again, it's a self-examination because all parts of the body keep the body strong and structured. And when organizations or leaders forget that, then what we're doing is we are removing the talent. We are actually removing the value that you bring to your organizations, that you bring to our organizations, devoting your life and your time to it, and trusting that the heartbeat of the organization that you have joined is beating with your best intention at heart.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Not a self, motivating intention. And it's beautiful what you said. Like, I created MYAVANA to solve a problem that's impacting me. However, sometimes you're the solution for a million people, or and your clients, but also you are an economic solution as well as an employer. And so it's important to know that it's more than just a title. When you say I'm a leader, or I'm a founder, or I'm a CEO, like, I am the heartbeat of this. We are the heartbeat of Wellspring. You are the heartbeat of MYAVANA, but also people need to feel the pulse. They need to feel the pulse. And, I'm seeing some, comments in the chat, and I actually just want to ask a really important question. And we're talking about fear and about culture. Is there anything that you have started to feel afraid in your culture? Like, anything that has come up for you? If there's something that, is it the fear of a layoff? Is it the fear of what's happening in the economy? Is it the fear of what is happening in various environments? So what is it that when you show up at work now that's leading you to feel a little bit of fear, if you are feeling some fear?
Yeah, and we can't ignore what's happening politically, right? Because I think that we are put into this continuous cycle of rage, fear, and hate. If you think about it, every 4 years, something pops off. Now it's like every 2 years, every 2 months, something popping off.
Every 2 days.
This year, it's been every month. And we can't ignore how that affects us. You can't ignore that you fear for your life when you go to some place. You can't ignore, our HBCUs are being threatened. We can't ignore that. We can't ignore the reality of life that we're living in. as we
Exactly.
show up for work, right? We have to do those pulse checks, right? Those wellness checks, right? But then at the same time, sometimes we still got to keep pushing forward, right? And so that's why I think that we need to shift gears, because we also can't ignore all these impending layoffs that are happening and now that are being enacted. Yeah, and it's incredibly affecting women of color at a disproportionate rate, right? They said over 300,000 Black women were released from the workforce last quarter.
Yeah.
So what is this all indicating? What do we do? Because especially for us, that's our target market. That's our customer, right? And so again, we can't ignore the realities. And I think it does position us to become those transformational leaders that are needed to put a new system in place.
I love that you brought up the things that we can't ignore. Right? And as I shared earlier, courage, the courage for leaders to do what is courageous and to not shrink back from the realities of your experiences, but also the realities of the world. What we found and what I found is that work will always reflect the fractures of the world. Right. So sticking with this X-ray and the structure, your place of work will always reflect what is fractured in your culture, what is fractured in the world. And what I love about leaders that lead with a sense of identity and a true sense of legacy is that they lead and they build and they face those fractures as realities, right? So my son, he plays football, and I'm a new football mom, and oh, y'all pray for me, okay? So
Friday Night Lights,
exactly, Friday Night Lights. Okay, go Eagles, go! And I'll watch him play, and it gets a little rough, and then and he, and I'm like, get off it.
I know. I could not. Oh my God.
I'm like, no. And then, he'll come off of the field and I'm like, hey, Josh, I'm like, are you okay? And I'm like, it looked like that. He's like, no, I'm fine. No, I'm good. And I'm like, that looked, like
I would have, that would have, right now,
like, John be like, yes.
Like, Mom.
No, I'm good. But that would take me out, okay? It would take me out. Just a little tap on my shoulder. I'm like, oh. But, the thing about a fracture, even a small fracture, if gone untreated, if you continue to stress it, if you continue to walk on it, if you continue to exacerbate it, it will turn into something that can be broken. And what we're finding now in workplace cultures is that we are dealing with these very small fractures from generations and generations that are building upon one another, that are reflecting as brokenness. And so to your point, Candace, when you described, it seemed like, the cycle was every 4 years, now every 2 years, now every 2 months, now every 2 days. That speaks to the progression of not healing something that is fractured. And when we as individuals are not designing our workplaces and looking at our talent and the people as really pivotal, strong points for our organization, we continue to build on that fracture. So stepping back and reflecting, like, listen, we can't pretend. Okay?
We can't pretend anymore. It's unsustainable. Exactly. And as you were saying that even brought more context that it was never healed since Tulsa.
Yes.
We never healed. We've never addressed it.
Yeah.
We've never addressed it.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're going to be talking a lot about workplace culture with our business partners, and really speak with leaders who are brave enough, courageous enough, that are really saying, I want to step in, I don't want to step back, and I want to lead in, because what we know about legacy, about cultures, about companies. I mean, some of our top companies have been have been in business for hundreds and hundreds of years. Their founders and their names are the names of the company, and we know them because they've built for years, and they've been built to last because it's beyond a paycheck on Friday.
Right? It is.
Legacy is beyond a paycheck on Friday, and a paycheck on Friday does not outlive the culture that you can build in a company if you build that culture right. When we look at the foundations of a building, okay, we're in a building today, and we know that this building is not going to go right into this ground. Why? Because there is something foundational beyond what we can see, going back to the X-ray, that is keeping this thing standing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to talk about, how do we start to transform fear?
Yes.
Because it's unavoidable at this point. And I think sometimes, I just saw a comment that sometimes transparency and facing it is like the first step. If you can just say, yes, I am fearful about this, and it's okay. I think what causes the fractures is that we're not willing to face that fear. And that's my true story, honestly, until recently. God was just telling me, like, you got to face it. You got to face it. Now, that takes self-awareness, and which is a whole other evolution of self, because especially as a leader, sometimes you may not have the self-awareness of what the real root is, right? That's why you need your heart coach. You need your executive coach. You need that, because I also consult for several business programs, and I decided to bring that into the program because of my lived experience as a founder, realizing that oftentimes you spend all of your days addressing the business, the objectives, what has to be done, and you skip the whole person running the business.
Exactly.
You skip the whole person in that role responsible for making those decisions. And then you don't realize that, oh, wow, like this person actually needs some heart healing. That's what leads to the burnout, right? Because I've been severely burned out recently. And the first time I went through burnout was 2015. I took a sabbatical for 1 month. And I ended up writing The Shift. So for those of you all who have seen The Shift, that's where it came from. Go read it. I'll just say
We're
that.
We're going to put it in the chat. Okay, we'll put it in the chat.
I was like, man, I need a shift.
Exactly. And this is what we're at.
That's what we're saying. We need to shift.
We need to shift.
Right now in this moment. We need to shift. And we need to think about how we do business differently.
Exactly.
Because we don't have to be driven by fear.
We don't.
We have the power of that choice.
Exactly.
We can make the right choice, and not be bound and feel like I got to make it happen. I got to keep going. No, God is just saying you need to shift gears.
You just have to shift gears. And, I love, Candace, that you talk about really looking at the person and looking sometimes when you're a founder, leader, you have to, and I noticed, Franklin, your comment about like fear to fail, but you have to drive.
Yes,
like, I have
you're
to
the
drive
driver,
towards outcomes. But you don't have to drive towards outcomes and drive over your people in the process, right? You can bring them along on the ride with you. And even though fear is the thing that is fueling our economy right now, I think it's important for us to remember that a workplace culture that is built on heart and trust will always outperform fear.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Always. And so if we're looking at the bottom line, if we're looking at what is happening in various industries with layoffs, and it's at a time when people are feeling like, I'm working twice as much. I'm working 2 times as hard to drive towards profitability and to drive towards these outcomes. I'm meeting my KPIs, my goals, my outcomes, and yet at the very end of it, the organization is saying, but we're still not producing enough.
I know, and that hurts.
Yeah.
It really hurts because you don't want to push people past their capacity. And I realized, you know what? This is beyond their capacity. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault, especially as startups and small businesses. We're wearing all the hats.
All the hats.
And we haven't had the capital that we need to truly grow and have a healthy business. We're often short staffed and doing a lot, doing more than we can, because then what happens with layoffs, the people still in the company, they get double the work. All the work now gets shifted to them. So to me, it's just like a perpetual cycle until I realize, like, I know, especially in Black culture, we're conditioned that we have to work twice as hard to get half as much, right? But whose identity is that really? Who said that? And
I didn't say it, okay?
Do we have to abide by that?
Do we have? Okay, all right.
Because guess what? It's harmful to our well-being. And you're creating now a harmful culture. When at the end of the day, we're just trying to survive. We're in survival mode. We're trying to make it happen. We're trying to be successful, right? But I think now it's like, okay, let's just address the elephant in the room. This is not right.
Yeah, it's not right. And it's really important for us to acknowledge this conversation about just saying what it is.
Yeah.
Not from a place where you're having the conversation or saying what it is because it's like, I just want to share my feedback, but it's because silence can really cost you trust in your organizations.
It does.
It costs you trust. And the more that you're able to acknowledge the things that you're struggling with in an organization or in your culture as a leader founder, the more that you recognize that fear has no room or place for some of these behaviors and some of these feelings. So we're looking at some of the feedback here in the chat. We're seeing all of the different notes, and this is like such a rich conversation. Thank you, Gina, for that. Basic human needs are to be seen and heard. And, and there is a way for organizations to see and hear without feeling like it's going to stifle growth. It's actually the thing that is guaranteed to ensure growth is that people feel seen, heard, and valued. So we are at an inflection point.
We are.
And I couldn't have thought of a better partner to come and have this conversation as you reflect on the evolution of MYAVANA and the transformation that MYAVANA is taking, because your vision for MYAVANA is to scale.
Yes.
And you said, I looked back when you and I were talking, like, I looked back at some decisions I made in scaling, because you've scaled significantly. You have really great partners and you have almost 1 million clients. And what you said was, if I could have thought about my people a little bit differently. So at this next venture of scaling for you, you said, I'm going to start with putting my resources back into my talent and back into the people, because then they will eventually and most surely put it right back into MYAVANA.
Exactly. Absolutely. That's the restructuring that needs to happen.
Yes.
Because you need the right people in the right position, but with the right framework, right? With the right strategy, and on the right model, right?
Yes.
And all of these things are changing and shifting at the same time. But honestly, again, in startup life, you breeze all the way past that part. You're just like, can you build this? All right, thank you. You on the team. And we're just building together, right?
Exactly.
So it's really time to shift. And I love everyone's comments because, it's the unspoken things that we haven't been able to we're not thoughtfully able to say and in a safe space to do that, right? And I think Wellspring creates that, because at the end of the day, you're called to your vision, right? We're still called to transform, and we're in the process of transforming. But I realize that now we're at the point where we have to transform the industry.
Yes.
In order for us to be fully who we are, we can't operate in the old frameworks. So that's why we are creating a new supply chain.
Yes.
We're transforming the hair industry. We're transforming into retail. So pretty soon you'll be able to shop with MYAVANA everywhere. And I'm just going to give you all a little clue. We are becoming the Amazon of hair care.
Yes.
And we're opening up distribution for our emerging brands, right? Because when you look at the attack on DEI and how that's impacting global companies, how it's impacting our retailers, the decisions that they're making, the decisions now that impact who they employ, right? Look at the boycott with Target, right? That one decision to shift and remove DEI, look at the economic impact of that, over $15 billion, right? But what happens now is, guess what? Our top recommended products, most of them are carried at Target.
Yeah.
So if we're no longer shopping from them, this is impacting them negatively too. Their sales are down 30 to 40%. They are looking for new ways to retail. And I was like, you know what? This is our opportunity to step in and really innovate how we help brands reach the customers that need their products.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming. I love all the retailers that we're partnering with currently. Shout out to Ulta. We have some new ones coming. But we are looking at, I know, right? I know they were our game-changing partner, y'all. And I'm just so grateful for the ones who do make the right decisions, who do prioritize innovation, the values that are important to us, to the market, right? Because leadership must be demonstrated.
Absolutely.
Right? It has to be. And when I look at who makes up the economy of the beauty industry, who's spending the billions of dollars, it's us.
Yeah.
And can't we help shift those dollars back to the Black-owned beauty supply stores as well?
Yeah.
Back to our salons, back to our beloved stylists, right? Who've been missing out on this piece of the pie because they've been standing on their feet 25 hours a day doing hair, making sure we look good.
Yes.
And now the physical effects that it has on them, it is time to shift. It really is. So we have multi-billion dollars of impact that we drive. So we have the power. That was our theme from the summit. The power is right in our hands.
Yes.
So let's do something about it, and let's lead, and let's make our organizations the new pillars of what the new economy looks like.
Exactly.
So I am excited about that. That can now drive me.
Yes.
So I don't have to be driven by fear. I can be driven by my purpose now. And just make sure we have the right infrastructure that can support that.
And so we are moving from a fear-driven economy to a purpose-driven economy, purposely impacting our clients, our talent, and really ultimately shaping the course and nature of our world. When you change the nature of an individual, when you change someone's perspective based on how you live your life as values. You see, leadership as a CEO and an entrepreneur isn't just about leading for leading the company's sake. You are the face of, you are the narrative of, you are the culture driver of your particular industry. And we know that we have a significant amount of influence, but with a significant amount of influence comes a significant amount of responsibility. And so what we want to do, and if you're interested, which I know you're interested, in making sure that we start to rebuild, shift, and pivot by building cultures that are built on trust and transparency, and not cultures of fear. Follow Candace. Follow Wellspring. Follow me. Follow Chris. Follow all of us as we start to become the demonstration of the cultures that we want to experience, the companies that we want to experience, the cities, the states, the regions, the territories, the parishes, no matter where you are in this world, that really are going to build this longer legacy of a culture that redefines how we look at each other.
Amen.
And we're not polarizing. The X-rays are on us all, okay?
Yeah, we can talk about
see
it.
through it,
We can
okay?
talk
The
about it.
X-rays are on us all, and we're grateful for that, because what it's done is it's given us revelation. But in that revelation, it's also, for those that are practicing self-awareness, it's also given us responsibility. So we want to take this responsibility by transforming the hair care industry, okay? I've got my beauty scope. I don't know about you, but I've got my beauty scope, okay? And Wellspring, we are partnering with MYAVANA to ensure that you have the right talent, the right structure to take MYAVANA where it needs to go and transform the
And this is going to be open for our entire hair and beauty network. So now Wellspring is your HR partner. We're about to transform the culture of the workplace, of our industry. We're about to shift into the future. We've been saying we're the future of hair care for 12, 13 years.
It is
we're
now.
in the future now, right?
It is
and
now.
Thank you. Yes, we need this. We need the encouragement.
We need the applause.
Yes, and I believe all of us, we represent the change for our industries that we're in. Whatever industry you've been planted in, your purpose is to transform it. That is the assignment at this time, at this hour, and we can do business differently.
All right,
and we should. We should.
So thank you for joining our live, and we will be back with another live and another guest as we talk about how you're doing, how your culture is doing, and how we can really transform the economies that we exist in into economies that we have created for legacy for years and years and years to come.
Exactly, yes. And if you are, if you've been faced with a layoff, you can work with Wellspring for your offboarding solution, offboard into your purpose. Okay, we're going to call that. That's what this transition is about. If you are a leader that has to lay off people, let's do it the right way, right? Work with Wellspring, offboard them into their purpose. That's what this shift is. And if you're a business owner and, you know, the struggle is a little bit too much right now, offboard your business, okay? And there are ways to do that. If you are in the hair and beauty industry, come to MYAVANA, come into our hair and beauty network. We are going to operate like a conglomerate now because there's more power together as a collective. That's what we determined in Tulsa. We are the new beauty supply chain collective. And we have to move collectively now because as small businesses, listen, we all got scraps. We're trying to pull up our bootstraps. We're working with crumbs sometimes. We just it's like
we're packaging. We're putting the labels on the products.
We're doing all the things. Yeah, we're stronger together. We're stronger together. So sign up for our hair and beauty network. We can talk more. And just think about what is the next step? What is the right next step for you as a business? If you are looking at an exit, there are ways to do that. And you don't have to be ashamed about it. There are ways to do it. Just think about what does my future look like, you know, and we're here to support you in that.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Candace. This has been amazing.
Yes,
and thank you, everyone, for joining for our lunchtime live. We'll see you again next week.
Yes.
Oh, I just added next week. Okay.
Yes,
we'll see you again.
Ma'am.
We will see you again next week. And email us if you have any particular topics or any guests that you're interested in hearing from. You can, just reach out to us at Wellspring. There's a link where you can book some time to talk with us, as whether it's about your culture, if you just need someone to vent to, whether you're just looking for trust and transparency, whether you understand that there's a fracture and it needs to be rebuilt, restructured, or realigned. We are your HR business partner to help you do that and to do that well. Whether you're offboarding, there are really thoughtful thoughtful, empathetic, kind ways to offboard,
Yeah.
and offboarding people into their purpose and passion.
Mhm.
It's really an easy thing and a kind thing to do. So thank you
Exactly,
all so
yes,
very
yes.
much.
And you can watch the replay.
Yes, watch the
Yes.
replay.
Share this with your friends. Share this with your peers. Let's spread this message as the change in our economy right now.
So thank you.
Thank you. This is amazing.
Bye, folks. Enjoy the rest of your lunch.
I know, yeah.